Okay. So, what I really want to do with this last section here is to go around the room and have each person at least make an attempt to say a couple of things that would fit into each of these categories about their primary focus. Basically, give me a 2 or 3 minute sales presentation on the core of your business.
Under that sales process?
Yeah, make a promise, explain the promise, prove the promise, then make an offer, the thing that you're wanting to sell, and you don't necessarily have to put the offer in perspective. Let's ignore number 5 for this practice session. But I'd like to kind of go around and at least have you make the attempt to put ideas into that form. So who would like to go first?
I need some time to develop this.
I'll go.
Well, some of this we've been working on for the last few weeks. The sales hook would be your promise. Explaining it, okay, that is new. Proving it, just think of a story where you've actually used the principles involved in your core focus. And then even if you don't really have a product defined right now, just kind of make one up.
Let me go?
Sure, why not?
Okay. Seriously, make a promise. I promise you'll enjoy my CD. Enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah, explain the promise. It's the enjoyment will come from the fact that I'm singing old standard songs people love
Okay.
generally. Proof the promise. Well, proof is the pudding. Listen to it. Make an offer. Make an offer you can't refuse. Hey, I just I don't know what to charge, man. I have no idea. And but I do know if you listen to it, you'll like it. I promise.
Okay. For the most part, everything kind of fits right in there. The only thing I'd say is the prove the promise. You could mention the fact that you have performed these songs for audiences already and have received a lot of good feedback.
Can I tell you a quick story? I did Sinatra's show one time in South Bend area, and I was doing with Elvis. So in the entire guys, Elvis stood on, sideburns, it's bald. I feel like, oh, I started laughing like, come on, man. He goes, you, don't say anything. I promise I won't say anything. But I could think the whole time, and I go like, what the heck, man? He did a great job. I won't mention the name, but he did a great job. So I've done a lot of shows, and and I'm older now, so I can't do like I did before, but I enjoy doing that.
Okay.
And I just give it away because I love doing it. That's all. Oh, but Pam has so many CDs and a book about me and products that we have we could sell. Even the guided meditation she has too.
Yep.
And I think people should hear it. That's my focus. Want to get our music out to more people. So.
Sounds good. So, yeah, Pete did a good job of making this 4 points, and it doesn't have to be overly elaborate.
No.
So that's all I'm looking for from you guys. So who wants to go next?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready.
Okay. And Amy had a little bit of pre-knowledge of what was coming up,
Yeah,
so
I
let's
thought
call on her.
But I figured you would. Okay. For a sales hook and make a promise, I would say, would you like to have more and serenity within your life. If I said I could promise you that you can calm your mind and relax your body and become more serene and live a life that is more serene and more calm and more peaceful, would you do it?
That's a great promise.
Amy, I wouldn't be dead, would I? Just kidding. That's what I promised.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah, I want to be at peace, but not that much at peace.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, I'm sorry.
Serene, maybe,
Serene.
maybe you could be peaceful and
At rest.
serene and calm, but.
Okay, man.
So I guess that question could be part of the explaining the promise. How calm and serene.
Yeah.
And alive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yes. No, that's great. I love it. I love when people ask questions and then you're interacting, you're paying attention. And
I am, I'm trying.
And you're interacting and you're actually.
I'm a wise
able
guy
to
too, so I'm sorry about that.
Ask questions, so I like that. So to explain my promise, yes, you would still be alive, but it would be an opportunity to live life on a different level. Instead of as hectic and frustrated
Right.
or any of those types of things that we think of and we attach to life and a life before death.
And a life after that.
And a life after death.
Yeah,
A bridge to both.
that's great.
How's that?
I
Bridge to
like that.
I
I
like it
like
You're
that.
explaining it very good.
I mean,
Thank you.
yes, it would
What's-
be a
what's-
bridge to both.
Make me offer I can't refuse.
A bridge to both. Okay, so the offer that you can't refuse is a 1 hour session with me where we go through a guided meditation
Mhm.
format and you learn to calm your mind and relax the monkey mind and settle in and focus on something that is calm and peaceful and relaxing, and then how to continue that state throughout whatever situation you face in life.
Great.
Does that
Thank you.
answer the question?
Pretty much, you skipped the proof step.
Except the proof. Okay, so the proof
How
would
do you
be-
prove that you can help them reach that relaxation state?
The proof is in the way that you feel after we talk, in the way that you feel the next day, and the days following after that. And when you leave our session, you will have a process to follow and that you can do on your own.
Have you done this before?
I have done this before.
That's where I was going to go at.
I have a
Both of
CD.
you,
I've received
Yeah.
it.
Come on.
both of you in the proof step were talking about it will prove itself
Yeah.
after the fact. But when we're in a sales process, we really do want to show proof
Yeah.
ahead of time
Yeah.
before they make the purchase.
Mhm.
So in my case, whenever I prove my point, I talk about these are some of the things that I've done in this
Mhm.
way. One story in terms of relaxing is like, well, some of the techniques that I'll be teaching you, I used, there's the story that I keep remembering. I got home after a busy day, everything went wrong. My spouse was angry about a certain number of things, and it seemed like everything was just going completely against my peace and relaxful state. And I sat down, I went through this 5-minute process, 10-minute process, whatever it is, and right after that I felt so much better. And that would be a proof element.
Mhm.
That type of thing would be a proof element.
Yeah, what he said.
What he said.
Okay, I'll let that go for this one.
I'll go next, because actually what I'm gonna talk about is very much similar, so I'm gonna say ditto to Amy's.
Ditto,
Except.
It's not so much peace and calm that I wanted to present in the meditation, of the promise, of the meditation, whatever, CD. Because, what I'm finding more is that there's because of the ascension and then all the energies that we're going through, to be more centered in your life, to be more centered in whatever the focus is that you need to do. And so it's not so much calm and peace, although that's a part of it. But by being more centered between the divine and Gaia in particular, and all life forms. So that's kind of what I'm getting into, that type of thing that I'm asked to do a lot of meditations in different places. So that's sort of my proof. Explain the promises that you will be more mindful, you will be more in the moment, to be more powerful, to be able to do whatever you wanted to do. So the offer is a CD that I'm looking at for now.
Okay,
Cool.
okay, good enough for now.
Okay.
Might as well just keep going around the table.
Yeah. So my promise would be I will help you to relax and heal yourself and align yourself to the cosmic energy in such a way that you can do things with ease and with harmony. That's the promise. And explanation of the promise is to be a better person as you become more relaxed, focused, and energized. And as you align your chakras and your energy with the cosmic energy. And prove the promise, I can give them a small healing session, and I can ask them how they felt. And I will also share the testimonies of people who have had previous sessions with me.
Mhm.
And the offer would be a 1 hour healing session where I get to work on them on transmitting the healing energy. The last point, putting offer in perspective, I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thanks. Any ideas?
Create a new you by coming with me to name the country. You will experience a transformational workshop and you will, while you, at the same time that you experience a different culture, while you practice speaking Spanish.
See.
CC.
Sorry, man.
What type of proof element would you include in with that?
You've been a
I
teacher
don't
for a
know.
long time. How about some of the different years and students and?
Yeah, some of the different proof elements that I used was doing what I do for a certain number of years.
Been a Spanish teacher for 40 years.
Okay,
That's good, that
that's
sounds
that's a
great.
definite
I
proof
don't want to
element.
be a Spanish teacher
No, but
though.
that's not what
You
I'm
don't
saying,
have
it's
to. It
giving you
just shows that you
credentials.
have
And
experience.
I've done several transformational workshops and trainings.
Okay.
I've been the facilitator.
Yep, those are all good proof elements.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, it looked like you had another question or something.
Well,
else to
I
say.
was just thinking about how if I don't want to be a Spanish teacher, I want them somehow to get that they have to be at a certain level of Spanish proficiency
Right.
before they'll even be accepted to come with me.
Actually, just to give you feedback on that, when you go through to make the offer, that's also the section where you talk about prerequisites. That this course is only
Oh.
available for those who have whatever background that you're requiring. This is only available to people who are at least somewhat comfortable speaking in the other language.
But I don't want them to think that the seminar or workshop will be done in Spanish.
Right.
That will not be the case. The
Right.
seminar, the transformational workshop, will be in English.
Right.
But they'll have the experience of being in the culture and have a sort of a total immersion thing.
Right.
Hey Peggy, I know a lot of people love to travel. I love to travel.
Love what?
Love to travel. I
Yeah.
like to travel. And I know a lot of people bucket list. My wife wants to go to Machu Picchu. Have you been there, Machu Picchu?
No, but I intend to take some people there.
She speaks Spanish too.
Oh, okay,
She taught Spanish.
great.
So
So what are you saying?
I'm saying that, it would.
You're gonna have a lot of takers
Yeah.
I
if
think she
travel
wants
is
to do
involved.
it.
Yeah,
Have-
sign them
have
up,
the
they'll
experience.
be your first
Oh,
customers.
okay.
Okay.
I
That's
get
what
it.
I'm saying.
They'll be your first customers.
So John going to Egypt, and Bella T going to Machu Picchu.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
I was thinking of Costa Rica first,
Well, that's
to
fine.
get my feet wet.
Will you
Literally?
promise a visitation from UFO too? UFO?
Oh, well, that's a given.
Okay, cool, man. I love that.
Well, make sure that you go to Nazca if you're gonna go that far.
What?
Go to Nazca for the Nazca lines.
I don't know what that is.
Look it up, Nazca.
N-A-Z-C-A?
Yeah.
C-A. That's where I've been. Even if it's not there.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I like what you said though, that's cool.
You do?
I do,
Mhm.
I do.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, Diane, you're the only one left.
Okay, I don't wanna talk about my real business, my personal one, because I'm not ready to divulge it. But for church, okay, natural joy gatherings, the promise is experience greater fulfillment in your life. Is that too dull?
Well, it's common, but it's good for now.
All right,
For now.
and explain, as you engage with people in an atmosphere of free expression, you feel the sense of connection we were all meant to have.
Sounds good.
And to prove it, when a person feels that they belong to a dynamic and positive network of other people, they experience many benefits such as sanity, good health. I mean, I was gonna look that up. I don't have the benefits.
Sure,
But that's.
sure, yeah.
And the offer is, so come on Sunday evenings at 6. We start with a community meal and activities, and continues with creativity circles and activities that nurture the sacred self.
Sounds good.
And the, what is it called? The other thing? Oh, offering perspective. Why stay home when you can go out and have fun? I think I like that better than my business. No.
I'll come to one of those.
Natural joy. I had natural joy events going on 2 years ago. Died for lack of interest.
Natural events?
Natural joy events. Natural joy events.
Life and workshops.
Mhm.
They were actually little parties where
Cool.
you had dancing and talking. And,
Oh, cool.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, yeah, the basic idea I wanted to get across is that a sales presentation doesn't necessarily have to be an hour-long thing.
Right.
Doesn't have to be 15 pages of written material. It can be just a very simple, here's what I have, here's what it'll do for you, kind of thing. One of the details that just came up is that when you do get into describing your offer, you want to make sure that people understand all the aspects that are important. If there are certain requirements that they have to meet before they can be accepted into your program, then you want to list those. If there are any other factors, like you're going to be serving meals and you want to know what type of meal that they can handle, if they have any dietary restrictions or whatnot, that would be part of the offer. Or maybe not quite the upfront offer, but it'd be part of the details before they actually make the purchase. I mean, if that's a requirement. Basically just, if there are details that need to be described and explained, then you want to describe and explain all the details when it's appropriate. And then as far as the proof, it is better if you can show that what you're offering is based on something that has previously worked or has previously been enjoyed. Testimonials were a good thing. The fact of having done it a number of times before is proof elements. Having experience in a similar field can be a proof element. I mean, this class, as an example, this is really one of the first times I've actually taught marketing principles but I've been involved in marketing for 16 years. So it may not be, I can't, before this class, I couldn't prove that I could teach the material, but I could prove that I've used the material. So it's similar but slightly different. And what Bella was saying, as far as having been a Spanish teacher before, you're familiar with teaching people new concepts. I mean, even if
So I could
you're
say this-
even if you're going a completely different direction with teaching them how to feel more confident or to improve their memory, that is still a proof element because you've been a teacher. You know how to teach material, even if it's a completely different topic.
So even though because I've been a social worker, I have experience inside of transformation kind of thing. Does that,
That would apply. Yes.
I mean, if I'm doing a workshop and a training for a transformational workshop, then
Right.
I would just highlight that, I don't know.
Well, what I would do in that case, because not everyone would understand that
No,
being a
they
social
wouldn't.
worker involves transformation.
It doesn't.
What I would do in that case is I would tell a story about how someone you worked with in that environment was transformed through the process of working with them. And then that proves that you've helped people transform in any way possible. That goes towards proving that you can do what you say you're going to do.
I just have trouble bragging about myself. I can't, it's really hard for me to
I
say it.
completely understand that. And I'm not necessarily one to go around tooting my own horn normally, but I understand the sales process and I understand marketing, and I also understand that I have to at least share that information. See, I don't look at it as bragging. I look at it as just pointing out and sharing
Intellectually, I
information.
got it. I'm talking about me saying, for
Right.
example, thousands of people's lives have been transformed because of something I set into motion in Mexico, which went over into Colombia and went into Jamaica. But for me to say that out loud, I mean, it is true, but I just want to hide.
Oh,
And I think that's part of the mentality and the culture of Western Michigan, or, that you don't ever want to appear to have a soiled head in your game. So in order to counteract that, I invented a game called the bragging game. You take turns bragging.
Yeah, but that doesn't solve the issue. I can brag with you in a little
Well,
game, but
it
the
was a
issue
big
is.
breakthrough for one person who played it just to do it at all. They just couldn't do it. They said, "I won't do it. That's not.
Yeah.
It's not good form."
Right.
Finally, we said, "Well, then we'll brag for you."
there are other people's voices that can speak for you if they speak for your proof. Testimonials, people.
Oh, that's true.
Have you ever watched the movie Forrest Gump?
Yeah, a few times.
If you listen to how he says things, he's not bragging, but he talks about some awfully major important things.
Yeah.
A lot of it can be how you say things too. You don't have to come at it as I am the greatest and look at me.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I was involved in this little thing, and yeah, it kind of went on and it did
Snowball.
this, and it's just
Yeah.
sometimes the tone of voice is
Yeah.
all that needs
Right.
to be changed, and that puts it in a completely different perspective. But they still get the message.
And one thing too that I'm observing as we're discussing that too, it's not bragging to the nth degree of doing it there, but it's like making steps or making changes in lives in a different way. So it's not from 0 to 100, but it's just doing things and
Right.
showing that you are
Right.
effective.
Right.
Mhm.
That's what he was saying, I think, just another way to say it.
And life is like a box of chocolates, right?
Yeah, you never know what you're gonna get.
It's a price, Forrest. Run, Forrest, run.
What I'm wondering about is the use of other facts and other research and things like that. I mean, we're talking about doing guided meditation and things like that. So what about using some,
Right, that can go into proof. Proof, while it is best if you can prove that you've done something or that you've helped someone do something, if you can provide any kind of proof at all, for instance, like with guided meditation, scientific studies have shown that those who meditate have lower blood pressure, are calmer, are more in control of their emotions, all of these other benefits of meditation. You can bring that in as proof that meditation is a good thing.
Mhm.
You don't have to prove that you have helped people meditate and produce specific results. When you get to that point, then you want to include that because that's an even better form of proof.
Yeah.
But any kind of proof is at least usable. And one of the statements that's in the printed material is you don't have to prove things to the point of being able to hold up in a court of law. You don't have to prove it as an absolute fact. You don't have to have eyewitnesses and character witness and everyone else to come in and vouch for you. You don't have to have the forensic evidence that proves the point that you're making, especially in the metaphysical world. And this is one of the things that I've been thinking about. How should I present this? We want to prove our point as much as we can. And in general business and marketing, if you can't prove it, you can't do it. But in the metaphysical world, because there are a lot of people who are right-brained and intuitive, and if they feel a connection with you, then they'll take your word for it regardless, whether you can prove it or not. The thing is that when you're in business and you're promoting what you do to a large audience, there will be some who will take your word for it without any proof.
Yeah.
But if you really want to get the best results from your promotions and get the most sales when you do a promotion, you have to have the proof. Because there are a lot of people out there who, I've been lied to too many times. I will
So-
not do this until you can prove it.
Could proof be testimonies from other people?
Yes,
Okay.
testimonies,
Yeah.
it serves as proof. It's what's called social proof.
And so we've
Okay.
done, because we're both talking about meditation, we both involve leadership and ethics.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, not, what's on, Toastmasters.
Yeah.
That's-
Can you know more details about how you manifest $20,000?
I can.
How'd you do that, man?
I can. That was a recent example, and at one point I was realizing that all of the stories that I had
Right.
of how I manifested something came from ages past.
Right.
And it had been a long time since I'd manifested anything big.
Yeah.
And I wanted something new and recent that I could promote.
Right.
So I went through this process. It's like, okay, I'm going to do this thing. So for an hour a night, I sat down on the couch and I went inside and I made that contact with the divine. And I visualized incredible wealth.
Oh, cool.
I envisioned a number of different things, including a stack of papers of investments.
Oh.
Well, what's interesting is that sometime after that, my mom decided she was not going to make me wait for my inheritance.
Oh, no kidding.
She signed over an Edward Jones account that she had set up for me,
Really?
and the value of that was just over $20,000. And so I had my new case study, I had my new proof element, and it was dramatic enough to where it's really going to get attention.
Sure, that's good.
And it proves something that a lot of people say is impossible. You cannot manifest something sitting on your couch. Guess what? I did it.
That's pretty good, man.
That's great. Thanks, Al.
So we are officially done for the class. As always, I will be here for at least another hour to answer any questions and to work with anyone who wants to.